Hello and welcome back to Shakesyear. We are getting close to the end of Locrine. Today we got to hear from Sabren, or Sabren, S-A-B-R-E-N. She is the daughter of Locrine and Estrald. We get to hear from her. We haven't heard much from her prior to this, but here she shows up because both of her parents are now dead. What has happened in the last couple of days? We started out this Act 5, Scene 5 with the ghost of Corineus being like, "Mwahaha, now it's time to undo Locrine." And that's what happened. Gwendolen and Thrasymachus's army outmatched Locrine's. Locrine had about 10 times more men, but Thrasymachus and Gwendolen's army was just stronger and they beat them back. And then Locrine and Estrald came out and Locrine's like, how could this have happened? I don't want to be a prisoner, so he kills himself. And then Estrald is like, I don't want to live without Locrine, which, depending on what you think of that character development, that could either be like a broken heart thing, or it could be a, I don't want to be passed on to the next person thing, because Estrald, remember, was Humber's wife and then became Locrine's wife and all of that. So then she stabs herself, but then Sabren enters and sees the two of them and says, "What doleful sight! What ruthful spectacle hath fortune offered to my hapless heart! My father slain with such a fatal sword, my mother murdered by a mortal wound. What Thracian dog, what barbarous Myrmidon would not relent at such a ruthful case? What fierce Achilles, what hard stony flint would not bemoan this mournful tragedy? Locrine, the map of magnanimity, lies slaughtered in his foul accursed cave. Estrald, a perfect pattern of renown, nature's sole wonder, in whose beauteous breasts all heavenly grace and virtue was enshrined, both massacred, are dead within this cave, and with them dies fair Pallas and sweet love. Here lies a sword, and Sabren hath a heart. This blessed sword shall cut my cursed heart and bring my soul unto my parents' ghosts, that they that live and view our tragedy may mourn our case with mournful plaudities. I, me, my virgin hands are too weak to penetrate the bulwark of my breast. My fingers used to tune the amorous lute are not of force to hold the steely glane. So I am left to wail my parents' death, not able for to work my proper death. O Locrine, honored for thy nobleness, O Estrald, famous for thy constancy, ill may they fare that wrought your mortal ends." She's grieving. She's grieving the loss of her parents, is what happens here. She comes in and she sees it. She says, "This is the worst tragedy that has ever happened. This is horrible. My dad was so great and my mom was so beautiful, and here they are both dead in this cave. So everything is now horrible. Everything is now awful. Oh, hey, here's a sword. I could end my own life too." And she goes as she's going to, but they didn't want to continue the pattern of three. She's unable to kill herself. She tries, but she's unable to do it. And then she's a little bit frustrated with herself that she's not able to do it. She says that her hands are too weak. Her fingers aren't strong enough to hold the sword. So all she can do now is mourn for her parents' death. And her very last line is like a little tiny spark of revenge kind of thing. She says, "Ill may they fare that wrought your mortal ends." She's wishing bad things on the people that made Locrine and Estrald die. Which, if you want to get technical about it, Locrine and Estrald killed themselves, so she's wishing ill on Locrine and Estrald, but she's probably wishing ill on Gwendolen and Thrasymachus and that whole crew because the war, instead of, who actually dealt the fatal blow sort of thing. And then, speaking of the devil, Gwendolen and Thrasymachus and all these soldiers enter at that very moment, and we're going to get to hear a monologue from Gwendolen tomorrow as she enters. So I'll see you then for that. Mwah.